What's up, guys? That was terrible. It's always weird when you're starting YouTube. You always want to say what's up, guys, but it really is like, what else could you say? I guess hi, hey. Chris Driven here, back in the Toyota RAV4 office on my way to work, and we are going to be talking about why getting your first car is going to be one of the most important decisions either you are going to make or your parents will do for you. And I do want to get into this because everything that I'm going to be talking about, whether it's in this video or any other videos, these are personal experiences. Anything that I've gone through, anything that I've learned, and all of this is for good reason, to try to prevent anybody else from making a mistake, especially if you're a lot younger, you're more dumb, you have no idea what you're doing most of the time, right? But when it comes to getting a vehicle, that's when it matters most. And I can't stress that enough. And I already see it, me working recently now at a dealership. This is something that I get to see a lot more frequent, and I just have to get it out there. So if you're in your teens, if you're in your young 20s, mostly if you're in your teens, you're most likely looking for a car. I know I can't really speak for anybody that is older than 20, that is 27 or older, because I'm 26 right now. So whatever situation you're in, it may be different to what I'm about to explain or go through. And so to start right away, back in high school, for me, I believe so in sophomore year, I didn't have a car, right? I walked 30 minutes to school, back home, which, if you think that sounds terrible, it really wasn't. It did a lot of great for my body. But besides the point, come junior year is when it was time for me to start driving. So I ended up going to driver's class, and then this was a time where my mom was gonna have to decide, okay, I'm gonna need a car soon. So what is she gonna have to do? She's gonna have to get herself a car. And this was around, I think in 2015 or 16, that she decided to get herself a vehicle. That way she can pass on the car that she had, which is a 2005 Saturn Ion. You probably would have never heard of that car in your life because the brand doesn't exist anymore, and you rarely ever see those cars. But I'm also speaking to the parents too. I'm not just speaking to the teenagers who are looking for a car or need to that way you can either start building your credit, especially, or just to be able to get around. So I'll try to touch up on those 2 points. Hopefully I don't forget. But yeah, for parents, I think, like I said, everybody's situation is different. Not everybody's going to have their parents, give them a car. Most of the time, teenagers will need to make their own money, because if the parents are struggling themselves, we as teenagers will have to try to take that responsibility and realize, like, okay, well, my parents are already struggling, so what can I do to help them, and then also get myself a car. So like I said, every situation is completely different. Luckily for mine, yes, my mother was able to help me in this sense. So thank you, Mom. Moms are always amazing. Parents, dads, y'all do whatever you can, no matter, the crappy situations they may have gone through as well. Anyway, so yeah, she gives me the car, and this is where I should have just kept that car running until it completely died, doesn't work, nothing. Although, like I said, the brand doesn't exist, so if need be to replace some parts that might need to, they could be expensive because they just don't make those parts anymore. But besides the point, I wish what I would have done is, I wish I would have kept the car that my mom gave me and just run it to the ground. Reason for that is, well, long term, say your parents give you a car, but you're already working, because I started working when I was around 16. And then I was thinking, like, man, like, I'm making my own money. I don't have to pay bills because I'm living with my parents or mom, whatever. And, you know, I want something cooler, faster. I want to start modding, right? Every teenager or teenage boy wants to think like they can start modding. I know there's teenage girls out there that are into cars, but for me, you know, I'll speak to the boys because we're a lot more dumb, okay? And I'm sure all the girls, women, ladies are gonna love to hear that. But it really is true, and this is something that I would talk to my coworkers about right now, is that, you know, guys were a lot more dumber in the sense of making car decisions. I know there's probably girls that, you know, be making impulsive decisions that they shouldn't when getting a vehicle. But in this sense, like I said, I'm talking to all the boys, the guys, because we're really stupid and we need to learn not to be. That way we can make sure that we have an extremely happy wife or girl in our life, or if you even care to have somebody in your life. But in my case, you know, I have a wife now and I want to give her the world. You know, she really deserves it, and right now she's working to become a doctor, so there's so much that I want to do right now, always and forever. That way I can keep her happy and just give her everything she deserves. Anyway, yeah, like I said, you really need to just keep the car that your parents give you. I don't care what your friends think, no matter how old the car might be, because for me, I love old cars, and they honestly probably make them better than the new cars now. So as long as you do, you know, regular maintenance on them, you know, they should theoretically run for a longer period of time compared to some of the newer cars. And yeah, this is just extremely important to make sure to just keep the damn car that your parents give you. Because the one that we had, or that she was giving me, it had really good audio. It had a sunroof, which is like one of my all-time favorite features. And it's good on gas, because it was a front-wheel drive. And it was blue, color blue, gorgeous. I probably messed up the paint at some point because I saw some stupid hack to kind of get the fading away. But, you know, gorgeous color blue. And, you know, there was really no need to get rid of that car for another one, because it worked. Like, I don't have kids, I don't have a growing family. If you have dogs, they easily fit in the back seat, and it gets you places. It really gets you places. And this is where I want to try to teach other young people especially, or maybe hopefully anybody, to try to be grateful for what you have, because anything can be taken away, especially if you don't end up paying for it. But yeah, so like I said, in my case, when I started working, I decided, because, you know, growing up watching Fast and the Furious, you think, oh yeah, I want to get a car and start modding it. And like I said, this is during a time where you're probably living with your parents, you're not paying bills, all you're paying is I mean, like I said, every situation is different. Some people are lucky just to pay freaking nothing. For me, I just probably had to pay for like my insurance, gas. I mean, really, that was it, because, you know, she gave me a car that was paid off. And I decided, okay, well, I want to trade it in for another vehicle. And this is another point in time where you really need to listen to your damn parents, because this is something I extremely regret. Not every day, but this is something when I think back to it, I really wish I would have listened to my parents. But for my dad, because he was a mechanic, you know, he's really all around with cars and loves them just as much as, you know, he kind of passed on to me. He knows better. And I wish, you know, my parents as well would have been a lot more harder on me, in the sense of just picking out a vehicle for me that I wanted to get, or not that I wanted to get, but like, I wanted to get a sports car, right? So there are reliable sports cars out there, and then there's some that are really unreliable, like the one that I ended up getting into. which I'll get into right now. But yeah, I remember my dad in this one car lot, and I wish I would have taken it and listened to him. Like I said, you know, us being impulsive and young, we just want things now. We want it done now. And I just wanted to, I don't know. I wanted to spend money on mods, like I said. That's really part of what I wanted to do. I wanted to be like Paul Walker, or Brian, as we all best know him as. And I wanted to get into something similar that he kind of liked, but also this is a personal car that I liked as well, which was the Mitsubishi Evo 10. So obviously I couldn't afford it, being around what, 17, 18. And you know, I worked at a movie theater. My first job, we were getting like $7.25, $7.50 an hour. And so you can imagine how much I'm really getting paid. Plus, like with working in high school, you know, there's not like a full-time thing going on yet. And so I can't believe, yeah, it's just crazy time, fun time. But yeah, so like I said, my dad and I, you know, we're out shopping, and he pointed out a Mazda Speed 3. It was red, hatchback, manual. I really wish I would have taken that damn car, because even now, like back then, I wasn't really a fan of hatchbacks, but they're so useful. My wife has the 2021 Honda Civic hatchback. Freaking amazing. I mean, it's so practical. I don't know why, I guess I was frowned upon, but I just was kind of closed-minded in the sense of what I thought a good car was. But yeah, I would have rather much had a hatchback than picking a sedan, just depending. But yeah, we all know how good Mazdas can be as far as their reliability. I'm sure there's, like I said, no car is perfect. All years, every years, or not all years, but there's some years that, yes, cars are going to have their issues, and that's just how it's going to be. But for the most part, even Toyota, come on, like look at them now, they're having issues. But yeah, I wish I would have taken the Mazda that he pointed out, but like a dummy, I was like, nah, I want a Mitsubishi Lancer. Once again, the biggest mistake I could have made, because that car ended up causing me issues down the line. I found one at this one used lot, of course. It was a 2014 Lancer ES, I believe. It's just your basic base model Lancer. Okay, this is how dumb we are, because at the time, like, it's not even like a sporty model at all. And yet I saw it as like one of the coolest cars that I could possibly have. Although I eventually added some things on to make it look nice, which I do appreciate it. I just wish it was a reliable car that I could have had still, maybe, but also not, because I did end up throwing an exhaust on there, of course, right? Freaking what is it? I think it was not a catback. I think it was an axleback. Anyway, I threw on an exhaust. My wife didn't love it. You know, she hated the noise. Like, you know, girls aren't really turned on by that. So if you think you're hot, I don't want to say the S word, but you know what I'm getting at. Can I just bleep it out? Maybe make it seem like I did. But yeah, you really ain't anything by throwing on an exhaust and speeding down the street sounding like a loud idiot. Like, it's not attractive at all. You just look stupid, you sound stupid, and you're not gonna get girls like that if that's really your goal. And like I said, I'm really trying to teach teenage boys, because you might be looking at me like, this guy, he doesn't know what he's talking about or whatever. I know what the hell I'm talking about, okay? I hang around with, I just hang around with girls. Or at least back then I did. I mean, I still do, but I never really hung around with guys, so I got to hear a lot of what they didn't like, okay? But yeah, like, you're not cool though. Like, you just look stupid, and it really is. Like, it's just cringe. But like I said, this is just part of being a teenage boy. Anyway, if you have kids watching this, I do apologize. Once again, for me, I don't really want any kids to be watching YouTube. That's just a me personal preference. Plus, they wouldn't really recognize the problems of an adult right now. Just let them be kids. Anyway, so yeah, I got that Mitsubishi Lancer. and I ended up replacing the catalytic converter because car was overheating. I replaced the thermostat. You know, there was just things all around that, I don't know. The car really was just overheating. You know, driving an hour or two, even eventually me driving like 20 minutes either to work or back to my house, it was struggling at some point. So that car sucked. Sorry to say, Mitsubishi, like I freaking love the Evo 9, Evo 10, you know, some of the other cars, but it really was just a lemon. That's unfortunate to say. Like I said, no car brand, no car, nothing is not perfect, but it's just unfortunate because I really wanted to have that car, at least for like a longer period of time, right? Because I did end up paying it off, but guess what? I had to get rid of it, or I thought about getting rid of it because, well, first of all, yeah, unreliable. And then I kind of wanted to get into something different. And plus my girlfriend at the time, which is now my wife, I don't know who brought up the idea of I should get a truck, but I wanted to get into a truck. Eventually I did. That'll be it for another story. But yeah, I basically screwed myself over, threw money down the drain for nothing. Plus, I would much rather have all you teenagers or young people I'm still young too. I mean, I'm saying it like I'm an old person, but I am probably sharing stories like I'm an old man. But like I said, I'm just trying to teach everybody what I went through. That way, hopefully it can help you guys not make these mistakes. But yeah, I would really try not to spend money on just getting another vehicle. I would rather, sure, you can save your money up, you know, like every common average person will do, or if you have kind of an entrepreneurial mindset and you want to have your own business, start your business maybe. Like I said, it just depends on how you grow up, how you are. You might want to, you know, start investing your money into something that is going to grow and get you money over time. So like I said, you can either have it sit somewhere in the bank, saving up, whatever, that's fine. But for me personally, I wish I could have invested it into, you know, growing like a small business that's going to be getting me money constantly. And that way, by the time you graduate high school or you want to move somewhere else, you know, you have the money to move out of your parents' house, move to another city, travel mostly. Travel is like the one thing that I highly suggest you just do. I never cared about travel. I just wanted to stay home, play video games. But yeah, that's not something you should really do. I mean, video games are fun and all, right? I did it like my entire life growing up, but eventually I just stopped really caring for it. And it's not the same anymore, you know, playing with friends. Black Ops 2 is like at its peak. Anyway, kind of getting sidetracked here, but yeah, the point of this is seriously, just don't get into a damn car that is unreliable. Don't get a BMW, Audi, or Mercedes. I think the problem with those young guys is that we're always trying to go, or at least for me, we're trying to grow too fast. You know, all these things that we want, you know, they come with time. And I know that is the hardest thing to do, is to be patient. Nobody likes to hear that. Is to be patient and just work with what you have right now. Just like me. I'm working with what I have because of how I ended up getting myself here. But I'm trying to make the best of, you know, having the Toyota RAV4, which I'm glad I have, because I know, you know, I can go anywhere with peace of mind knowing that this damn car is not going to fail me at all. Knock on wood or whatever, right? But like I said, as long as you keep up with regular maintenance, car will run fine. This better get through to you, I'm telling you. Just the same way you like to listen to David Goggins or any other motivational speaker that is a lot older, has been through it. Look, I'm sharing what I've been through, and look, watch, at 26 I've completely learned. I know exactly what not to do and everything. So luckily, thank God, I don't have to make the same mistakes our parents might still be making, thank God. So I know exactly, yeah, what I need to do. and I'm not going to ever get into any sort of financial issues, but I still, I need to pay this car off. There's loans I need to pay off. Like I said, there's other things, but anyway, point of the video, listen to your parents. Like, seriously, I would hate to hear that you decided not to listen to me. And I mean, you do whatever you want, right? That's fine. But I'm just saying, if you try to get into another car, or a car that you can barely afford, somehow, at the job that I was working, I was still unable to afford like a $200-something payment for that Mitsubishi Lancer I ended up getting into. I had to pull out of my savings at some point because, schedule was inconsistent at some point. Movies slowed down. So I did struggle even with that. So, like I said, seriously, just keep the car that is paid off for the longest amount of time possible. I know no car dealerships are going to want to hear that from me, but hey, I'm just trying to save people. This is for the people. This ain't for you. Anyway, so we'll just wrap up. Once again, listen to your parents, keep the car, keep it running, do regular maintenance. Nobody wants to go do oil changes, nobody wants to get the tires, nobody wants to do the brakes, but these are just normal things you just have to make sure to stay on top of. And I'm saying brakes, that's not regular maintenance, but make sure when the time comes, because these older cars, they will need brakes at some point, I'm sure. But yeah, this is why eventually I would love to really grow this YouTube channel to be able to help other people, get new tires. If I can pay to get you new tires, new brakes, your oil change, regular maintenance stuff, like, I would love to do that, but I am not too big of a channel to do that yet. So, which is why I would love everybody's help to, help me grow whichever way it is, I guess first off, what I would need to hit is hitting the 1,000 subscribers at least. And then there's a certain amount of watch hours that I know I need to put in the work myself, but also require people to watch the video. So, nobody's forced to watch the videos, but hopefully I can try to get there and start earning money, not only to take care of me and my family, but to also give back. So just know that I am not a selfish content creator, and which is why I'm even sharing these stories. If I didn't care to help any people, then I wouldn't be sharing these at all. But this is also for like my legacy or my future kids to watch this, so that way they can learn from their dad in case I happen to not be around, or if I leave this world early, whatever. I hope my voice isn't annoying. I need to fix my voice and not fix it, but try to talk in a way that doesn't sound annoying, because when I was editing, I'm like, damn, I sound like that. Anyway, that's really all for now. Any comments or questions, leave them in the comment section below, and then I'll get back to you whenever I can. I will see you guys later. Stay driven, and please make smart car buying decisions. Like I said, really don't get into a car you can't afford. I don't care, especially if you're living with your parents, just don't do it, because eventually you're gonna have to move out of your parents' house. I don't care what you say, because if you end up being with somebody that might expect you to, have your own place, then what the hell are you even doing? Like I said, I just want to try to help people, and I know nobody needs to have it figured out, especially in their 20s, but at the same time, I would say we really got to get our shit together and at least have ourselves settled financially, not have to worry about money, because that is the one thing that I hate having to worry, is worrying about money. I wish everything was paid off, that I owed nothing, and that my wife and I could just travel. That is the one thing that we value so much. And you might hear from your parents or anybody older, and it really is something that you need to do and discover, is just travel. Just go everywhere you can. Anyway, I'll talk to you guys later. Hopefully my little computer can allow me to upload this. That's how long it is. Catch you guys later.